Are you learning HTML as a beginner and want to know what HTML hyperlinks are, how they work, and how to create them? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, Martin here from MDP Web Development. Today we'll be working on a project that we'll use as a reference project throughout the Web Development for Beginners playlist. Don't forget to check out the playlist from the start to get a better understanding of HTML and our reference project. It's updated each week with new videos. Be sure to stick around to the end to see how to get the project files on GitHub to use throughout this playlist. I'll link to important videos there also. There's a link in the description down below to the GitHub repository where all the source code is. Let's get started.
Before we go on, be sure to watch the Visual Studio Code Editor video. It explains how to get and set up VS Code for use in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. And also watch the video on creating your first web page. I'll link to them in the description below. Here's a summary to get you started. First, create a folder on your desktop and call it Reference Project. Next, download and install Visual Studio Code Editor for your operating system from the link in the description. Open VS Code, then open this folder and create a new file called index.html. In the file content, type an exclamation mark and hit enter. This should create a new standard document for you. Open the file from the desktop folder and it should be a blank page as we have not put any content in it yet. If you get stuck, just watch these videos first.
Links are the backbone of the internet. Hyperlinks link all web pages together. Otherwise, we'd only have one page on the internet and not 20 gazillion. We can see here we have internal links, which link to a part of a web page on our site. We also have internal links that can link to a page on our site. And external links that link to some other site on the internet, not ours. We can see here a typical link. We can see the anchor A tag and the closing tag, then all the content in between. We can see where the link points to here with the Uniform Resource Locator, URL. If this is a page on our site, the link when clicked will go there. If this is an external website, the link when we click it will go there. So with internal and external links, we can see here the first internal one. It references our own page, index.html. Then the hash symbol means go to an area on that page, and the area is called HTML. On the next internal one, we can see we go to a separate page on our site, not the index page. This is also internal to our site. And on the final one, we can see an external link for google.com. We don't own google.com. That's an external site. So internal link to a page section. We can see here that the href or URL the link will point to is on the index.html page. And then whatever we put the ID of my section on, when this link is clicked, it will scroll down to that section of that page. We can see the my section ID is set after the hashtag in the link, and it links to my section on the index.html page. We can see here the index.html page in the URL. So if we click on a link, it'll open up in the same browser window that we're on. So if we like that, that's fine. If we don't want that, we have to tell Google to open it up in a new browser window. For this, we also put in the attribute into the link with target equals underscore blank. Target just means where you want the link to open, and underscore blank means a new page. Next, we have relative versus absolute URLs. Relative URLs are relative to our website. Absolute URLs point to sites with the full address outside our website. Here we can see the first one we saw already is a relative URL because it references index.html, on our website. And also the next one references our website page examples.html, so that's relative. And the bottom link we can see is for Google, which is not owned by us, so that's an absolute external URL. We can see here in our reference project all the links we're going to create. On the top, we have all the links that are internal to our website, and on the bottom we have external links for handy reference. When we click, we'll open up on a new page and we can do some interesting reading. Hi, before we move on, please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thank you.
So now we're going to open Visual Studio Code and our project and a browser window on the right to preview our project. It's going to go to our desktop and double click on Visual Studio Code. Then we're going to go to the Explorer view and open folder. And mine is on the desktop, so I'm going to go Desktop, Reference Project, select Folder. And here we can see we have our HTML file. If we open the browser view, we can see the reference project folder and the index.html file we created. Now to see the browser window on the right, if you have the live server extension installed, you'll see Go Live button down here on the bottom. And if you haven't, you just have to go out to your desktop, open the folder, and click on the index.html file. So once you've clicked on that file, we're just going to click this Go Live button here. And that'll start up a new browser server window for us. So a handy shortcut for Windows to put something on the left and right is to press the Windows key and then right or left arrow and release the Windows key. Then select the one you want on the left or right. So I'll close this panel. So another handy shortcut for Windows is the zoom key. If you press CTRL, then the plus to zoom in and negative to zoom out. So we can see here we have our Windows browser on the right. So the only difference if we had to open this manually on the desktop and click on the file is if we make changes on the left in our code editor, you would have to click refresh on the right to see it.
So here we are. We have our VS Code with our reference project open on the left, and on the right hand side we have our live server to preview our changes. So let's start by putting in navigation links on the top for the various parts of our website, reference website. So for the reference link, we're going to go less than symbol, A for anchor, then greater than symbol. And you can see VS Code autocomplete the rest. So I'll just zoom in here on Windows, that's CTRLN+. So now we're going to go into the anchor. We're going to go href and hit enter, and VS Code will complete the brackets and the equal sign for us. So this link is going to be for the home page, so that when someone clicks it, it goes back to the index.html file. So the URL here is just going to be the page that we're on, which is index.html. And we're going to call this link home. And we can see on the right hand side of the browser the actual home link. And if you don't see this, just click refresh on your browser. So on Windows, end key to go to the end of the line, then enter to go down to the next line. And just as a side note here, we can also put comments on our code like you might have seen already, the green text. To create a comment that just lets us know what the code is about, and this doesn't get seen on the home page or any page, we're just going to go less than symbol, exclamation mark, and then double hyphens. And you can see VS Code autocomplete the other side. Now we can type in what we want. So I'm just going to type in here that this is an internal page link. And I go CTRL and S to save. So our next link is going to be to the HTML reference section on the index page. So that when somebody clicks it, even if they're on a different page, it'll go to the index page and then scroll down to the HTML reference area we want to go to. So we're going to start with the less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol.
We're going to go back in, and again the href, and we hit enter. So here we want to reference the HTML section on the index.html page, so we have to tell it the page to go to, which is index.html. And then to scroll down to the section we want, we have to use the hash symbol. This tells the browser to scroll to a certain part of the document that they're currently on. And so we're going to call the reference area ID just HTML. And we're going to call this link HTML reference. And we can see on the top on the browser, we have another link. And you can click refresh if you don't see the links on the right hand side. So end for the end of the line, then enter to go down. Now we're going to do the same thing for the CSS reference section and the JavaScript reference section. So again, we're going to reference the relevant sections on the index.html page. So less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol. Then back in, and once again, href, hit enter. And again, we're referencing a section or a part on the index.html page. And we need a hash symbol that shows the section we want to go to. And this is going to be the CSS reference, so the ID is going to be just called CSS. And now we're going to type in for this link CSS reference. And we can see we have the third link on top of our page. So end and enter. Now let's do the same for the JavaScript reference area. Less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol. Back in and H reference. Again, the JavaScript section or part is on the index.html page. We're going to use the hash symbol to show the browser we want to go to a part of that page, and the part of that page is going to have an ID called JavaScript. And we're going to call this reference JavaScript reference. And there we go on the right hand side. So these links so far, like we saw already, are all internal links, internal page links, because they're all on our website. And they're also relative. They all belong to our website. So the last link is going to be for an actual extra page on our reference website. This is going to be an this is going to be an examples.html page where we store our examples. So again, we create the link, less than symbol, A, greater than symbol, then href. And it's just going to be a new page called examples.html. We haven't actually created this page yet. And we're just going to call this link examples. And there we can see it on the top right hand side. So again, if your browser doesn't show the changes, just click refresh. So now let's see if we can get these links to work in our reference project. Just going to zoom in, CTRL and plus. So the home page link here, if we hover over the home, we can see in the bottom of our browser, it's referencing the index.html page. And when we click it, we don't see anything happen because we're actually zoomed out all the way. So if we want to test this, we're going to click on the browser and go CTRL and plus to zoom in. And then if we scroll down, and then click on the home link, you can see the page goes back to the top. Now for the rest of the links, we'll test them one by one. So the HTML reference has to scroll down to the HTML reference section where the H2 is down here. So we can see it's referencing the index.html page, which is the page we're on, and then the element with the ID called HTML. So we're going to go down to the element here, the HTML reference element, the H2. I'm going to give this an ID of HTML so that our link will point to it. So if you type ID, then hit enter, vscode will create the rest. I'm going to call this ID HTML and save. So now when we hit the HTML reference section link, it'll actually scroll down to it. And there we go. It just scrolled down. Let's just try that again. And a note here, if you're zoomed out all the way and you click your links, nothing will happen because the page cannot scroll down. So if you zoom in and then click your HTML reference, we can see it goes down to the H2 HTML reference. Now let's do the same for our next link, which is CSS reference. So we come down to where the CSS reference H2 is. We go into the H2, hit space, and then ID again and enter. I'm going to call this ID CSS because that's what our link is expecting. And we're going to go save. So now when we go back and click on our CSS link after you refresh our page, it scrolls down. Again, we need to zoom out more here because we can't go all the way down to the CSS reference. Zoom in, sorry. So we click CSS reference and it goes down to the CSS reference. And now we're going to do the same. So remember we used an ID of JavaScript in the link above for JavaScript reference section. So in the JavaScript H2, we're going to go space and ID. And this reference ID that we gave it in the link is just called JavaScript. And we're going to go save, CTRL-NS, or file save. So refresh in your browser if it doesn't automatically refresh. Now we'll try the JavaScript reference. And we can see here it's all the way at the bottom, so we can't actually go down any more than that. Now for the next link, it's an internal page called examples.html. So we have to actually create this page now. So we're going to go to our Explorer view. And we can see here in the reference project, we're going to create a new file called examples.html. And in here, from our shortcut, if we type exclamation mark and hit enter, we get an auto-created document. Now there's a few ways we can do this. This is our examples page. So we want to just copy over the title of our document, which is set here on our main page. So we're just going to copy out the title text and paste it in our examples title tag and click save. Now let's see, when we click on our examples link, do we actually get taken to the examples page? And there we go, a blank page for examples. So now, naturally, when we're on the examples page, we have to have our menu on that page also in order to go back to the other index page. So we're just going to copy our entire menu we just created from our index page and paste it inside the body section of our examples page and click save. Now we have the links on our examples page also. So let's try them out. So when we click home, it goes back to the HTML page. We go back to examples. If we click HTML reference, it's going to go back to the HTML page and then scroll down to the HTML reference area. Hopefully your links work okay. So I'm just going to zoom out again. So now we're going to create external site links and put them into our reference website. These links will come in handy down the line. We'll have HTML reference links, CSS reference links, and JavaScript reference links. So these links are external, they're external companies on the internet. And we'll also have them open in a separate window, not in our own project window. So we're going to go down to the HTML reference section. And we can see the first one here is MDN HTML reference. So let's start by getting the URL for that one. We're going to go to Google, type in MDN HTML reference or paste it in, hit enter. We see here is the HTML reference page. Then we're going to go up to the top and copy the URL. Now let's go back to our HTML project on the left. Now we're going to insert the first link here. So we'll just remove this text from the list item. Now we're going to create our link. So we're going to go inside the list item, less than symbol, a greater than symbol. Then the href part, autocomplete. And we're going to paste in the URL we just copied. And now for the text for this link, we're just going to go back to Google and get our reference text. Then we're going to go File, Save, and we can see here on the right our first external page link. So now when we click on this one, it'll open up in our browser window, which we don't want. We want it to open in a new window. So we click back. Now let's go into our link we just created. And right after the URL, we're going to open it up in a new window. So we're going to use the target attribute. Again, vscode will autocomplete if you hit enter once you start typing target. Then as we saw, as we can see here, vscode has suggestions. So we're going to use _blank by just hitting enter. Now when we save this, we go back to our reference project and you might have to refresh. Now when we click on our link, we can see it is opened up in a new window on top in our browser. We can just close that window. So now let's go ahead and do the same for the rest of these links. Next, we get the W3C section and content reference. We'll get the URL by going into Google, having a look for that, then going into their site. Here we are. Then we go up to the top and copy out that URL. Then back in our reference project, we'll just remove the text and insert our link. So again, less than symbol, a greater than symbol. Go back into the a tag, then href, and hit enter. Now we're going to paste in the URL we just copied. And while we're here, we'll put in the target for _blank to open this link in a new window. And now we're going to paste back in the text that we want to show for the link. So we'll go to Google. I'll just click back and we can see our text here again. We'll enter our text here and click save. So we go to our live server and now we can see we have another link in our HTML section. And if we click this, hopefully it opens in a new browser window on top. And there we go, new browser window. I'll just close that down again. Next, we're going to use this same method to create the link for the MDN HTML element reference. I'm going to copy the text, go into Google, and here's the HTML reference. And I'll copy the URL from the top, ctrl and C. Now, back in our reference project, I'm just going to remove that text and we'll put our link inside the list item here. So less than symbol, a greater than symbol. Then we're going to go href, then just hit enter and let vscode autocomplete. And now we'll paste in the URL we just copied. Go to the end of the URL. And again, we want this to open in a separate page. So we're going to go target equals underscore blank. Now we're going to get our text for this link by just hitting back in Google, and we'll just copy it out again. So the text has to go here just before the end anchor tag. And CTRL and S for save. And we can see here we now have our third reference link. So when we click on this, it opens up in a new window. Lovely. The final one for the HTML section will be the W3C HTML validator. This will validate all HTML when we go into the link and use it. So again, I'll copy what I'm looking for into Google. Then I'll go into their link and then just copy the URL from the top. So back in our reference website, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go less than symbol, A for anchor, and greater than symbol. Then we're going to do the H reference and hit enter. And paste in CTRL and V for Windows, our link. Now let's just get our text and paste that back in for our link that we want to see. Just before the closing A tag. And click Save, File Save, or CTRL and S. And again we can see here we have our last one for the HTML section. So now let's move down to the CSS section. So the first one in the CSS section is the MDN CSS reference. Again, we'll copy that text, go into Google. We click on their site. And then we'll copy out the URL from the top address bar. We'll go back to our reference project and put the anchor link here inside the list item. Less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol. Then href. And we paste in our URL. Then at the end of the URL, we're going to go target equals underscore blank to open it up in a new window. And we can see vscode autocomplete just to hit enter, and we can get our underscore blank filled in. Now we're going to just pop that text we want back into it again by copying it from Google. And CTRL and S for save, or file save on Windows. We can see here we now have a CSS, MDN CSS reference. So let's just click on it to make sure it opens up in a new window. There we go, new window. Lovely. Next, we're going to do the W3C CSS validator link. Again, we'll copy the text into Google that we're looking for. And here we go. Now let's copy out the URL from the top. Back in our reference project, just remove this text for the minute. And again, our link for anchor is less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol. And the H reference part, we want to be the URL we just copied, so just click CTRL and V for paste on Windows. And again, we'll have this open up in a new window. So to the end of the URL, we're going to type in target underscore blank. Now let's just grab our text again and paste it back in. And file save or CTRL and S. We'll check again. There we can see we now have our two CSS reference links. So the final one is the JavaScript reference. So again, we're going to copy out what we're looking for. MDN JavaScript reference.
into Google. We can see it here on top. Then we're going to copy out the URL from the page. Then back in our reference project, we'll just get rid of this text for the minute. And again, we'll create the link here by going less than symbol, A for anchor, greater than symbol. Go back into it, and then href. And now we'll just go ctrl-v to paste in our URL. Now let's just go back and grab our text again. So now we'll have this one open up also in a new window. So we're going to go target equals underscore blank. And we're going to paste in our text just before the closing A tag. And ctrl and S for save or file save. Now when we go back to our site, we can see here on the bottom we now have the JavaScript reference link. Let's just click it and see, does it definitely open up in a new window? It does. Lovely stuff. So they're all external site links. They're not on our own site, they're actually outside. And they're absolute URLs because the entire address was copied and pasted in to each link. So the next link we're going to put in is a link to the GitHub repository where all the files are stored. So we're going to put that here just underneath the paragraph of text. So we're going to go less than symbol, A for anchored and greater than symbol. Then we're going to go href. And now let's go over to Google and we go into our web development playlist and copy out the URL. We go back and paste it into the href. I'll just zoom in here. And again, we want this opening up in a new window. So we're going to go at the end, target is underscore blank. And for the text for this, we'll just put something in to tell us what it is. We'll put in link to all code on GitHub. And ctrl and S for save on Windows. Just zoom out. And here we can see our link to all code on GitHub. So when you click this, it opens up in a new window. And here's our code for the YouTube playlist. So to get the files used in this example, the HTML reference project, just go to the GitHub link that's down in the description of this video. You can have a look at it here. So a GitHub repository is just a location on the internet hosted by a company called Git that most developers like to share or store their code in, either for their own use or to share with other developers. The repository on GitHub is just a folder used to store code or files, etc. Let's have a look at each folder. So when we're in the repository here, you can see the name of the repository there, actions along the top. You can see the main folder here, and there's a README file too. So if you want, you can just click onto the folders and see what's inside them and download the code from there. But to get all the code, you're going to go over here to the code button. We're going to click and download zip file. Once that's downloaded, go into your downloads folder. Then we need to extract it. So you're going to Windows, you're going to right click and extract all. Now let's just have a look at these files in VS Code. So we're going to go to our desktop. We're going to open up Visual Studio Code. And now we're going to open the folder that we just extracted. Open folder on the left. And we're going to go to Downloads. And here we are.
And you can see here on the Explorer view on the left, there's the folder we can click to expand. And here's the reference project folder. And here's the HTML file, so we click on that, and there's the code. You can use this for reference or to rebuild your project if something goes wrong.
Hi, I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like, share, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos in the Web Development for Beginners playlist. See you next time.